Hey everybody, welcome to Scotty's Record Shop on YouTube. Scotty here, and for this particular video, I'm going to do like an artist feature. My last video on albums that haven't been released yet on CD kind of spawned this. I was playing one of them, and I thought, well, it'd be nice to go through and show you some of the other things I have by this artist. Talking about Billy Joel. You know, a lot of common stuff, you know, The Stranger, 52nd Street, you know, but he had a lot of other stuff that isn't so common and isn't so easy to find that I have in my collection, in my little pile right here of Billy Joel stuff. Let's start off first nationally distributed, I guess, recordings. I don't know if he did any recordings prior to this, but he was in a Long Island band called The Hassles that did 2 albums for United Artists in 68-ish or so. The first one simply entitled The Hassles. Not a bad album. It's period kind of, you know, music. If you like that late 60s, I hate using the word psychedelic, but you know, if you're a Billy Joel fan, it's worth hunting down. And even if you're not a Billy Joel fan, if you like that period, it's still kind of an obscure band that you might want to hunt down. The Hassles, their first album. They, like I said, they put out 2 albums for United Artists. The second album, Hour of the Witch. Hour of the Witch. Billy Joel does not sing everything on this stuff. But it's nevertheless, it's again, it's interesting music, especially if you're a Billy Joel fan. 69, Billy Joel and the drummer to the Hassles split. And decided to create their own band, do something totally new. What they did was created an album that All Music refers to, the All Music Guide on the internet refers to as the worst album of all time. I think that's unfair. I think the main reason, it's not a great album, it's by no means one of my favorite albums, but the reason I think that it got so much slack is because it's so not like Billy Joel. You expect Billy Joel almost to be this sensitive singer-songwriter type of, you know, of person. And on this particular album, Attila, what you get is a drummer, and you get Billy Joel, who is playing a Hammond B3 through an enormous amount of distortion and using a bass pedal to fill in the bass lines, and singing, or in this case, screaming through most of the music. Billy Joel refers to this particular album as psychedelic BS. He did an interview back in the 80s, and that's what he referred to it as. However, one of the songs from this, Amplifier Fire, part 1 anyway, is available on the My Lives CD comp of his. So if you want to hear kind of what this album sounds like, then at least you can get it there. I'm kind of fond of a song on here called Wonder Woman. I don't know why. It's just it's not the easiest thing to listen to, but it's a part of his history, you know. Attila, 1970, originally issued on Epic Records. Actually, 70 and in the early 80s, I think, on some special Epic specialty label or something. I read somewhere that it was issued. This, I think, is actually the copy. I think I have actually is kind of an unofficial pressing, I guess you would call it. And those are really, even those are really hard to find. This was the album that spawned this video from the last video on albums that should be released on CD. Billy Joel's Cold Spring Harbor. I already pulled it out for you on Family Productions, 1971. It's a great record. The mixes on this are different. I explained a lot of that on the last video. Really hard to find. You can get the Columbia issue of this, which is a different. Its song listings are the same, but it's still kind of a different record. And I'd still really like to see that one on CD. His relationship with Family cursed him, followed him for years and years and years. They got a cut on his recordings for years. Really kind of, he didn't really think too much or didn't understand how things worked in the business world. He signed a lot of things that he probably shouldn't have signed that came back and bit him in the butt for years to come. He split out of New York for a few years. Actually lived out in California until what, 75 or 76. Out there, he hid and tried to get away from the music industry. The music industry found him, theoretically. He was signed to Columbia Records in 73 or 74. I want to say early 74. The end result of him being signed was this album, a wonderful album, Piano Man, 1974. Captain Jack, Piano Man. Just a lot of wonderful songs on this record. Has a country tinge to it, which is kind of weird, but especially if you listen to, like, again, if you go back to The Stranger and 52nd Street and Glass Houses and all those other albums, this is a little bit of a different twist, but a wonderful album. This is still in print, obviously, but if you're a Billy Joel fan, great Billy Joel music. Piano Man. Now we go to, these are more common, these are pretty much more common stuff. This record, I don't think gets enough acclaim. I really like this record. Kind of falls in between the cracks of his Columbia stuff, but Street Life Serenade, late 74, I believe this came out. Had the single The Entertainer, which had a little bit of a naughty word in it, but not a bad. Street Life Serenade, of course, a wonderful song by him. A lot of other really good tracks on this record too. Obviously, still readily available on CD. This next thing that I've got is quite rare. It's a radio station thing that I found. Well, actually, let me show you this first. 1976. This is really such a wonderful record. Turnstiles. What a great record this is. New York State of Mind. I've Loved These Days. I mean, just what a fantastic record by him. He still wasn't getting a lot of national airplay. Getting more on the FM side, but not a lot on AM side. That was going to change real quickly, but in conjunction with the Turnstiles record, radio stations got this thing called Souvenirs, or if you look out on the other side, Billy Joel's Sellout. What this basically was a few songs on one side. One side was studio stuff that had already been released, and the other side was all live, previously unreleased, I believe. It's been years since I listened to this, but that's what I remember from this album. But a kind of a collect. You can get this on eBay. Yeah, not horribly inexpensive, but not horribly. It's not that bad. If you're a Billy Joel fan, it's one of those pieces you really probably should have. Now we get into the stuff that like everybody just has. It's just kind of, if you're into 70s pop rock, you have this album. The Stranger. One of my copies. I don't know why I grabbed it. There's a little bit of ring wear on this one. The vinyl itself is in great shape, but what can you say about this record? Is it Phil Ramone working with Phil Ramone, producer? He was at his height on this stuff. An album, and this was 77. The album that came out after that, to me, I almost think of these two albums as one album. Really, you could interchange songs. We've got 52nd Street, very similar to The Stranger, both song structure, not song structure wise, but style and hit wise too. Several hits off this album by My Life, Big Shot, Honesty. Just a fantastic record as well. He decided to change things up in 1980. This was kind of a weird album. I love the album, but it tends to be more of a rock and roll album than his other albums. Not quite maybe as much piano as he had been playing in the past, but nevertheless a great record. Glass Houses, 1980. Remember this in the summer of 80? Boy, I played this a lot. Everybody was playing this record. several hits off this one, including Still Rock and Roll to Me. Big, I believe it was a #1 for him. Another great, not hard to find, but still a great record from Billy. This next one, not incredibly hard to find, but another radio promotional deal only. Billy Joel interview album. This album was kind of released, I believe, I remember this coming out right about the same time that the next album I'm going to show you came out. It's an interesting album because it's not just music and it's not just interview. It's both. Sometimes you'll get an album and it's all interview, or it's all a promo album, but it's all music. So this is a combination of both. It kind of makes it interesting, and it's kind of a promo to this next album, Songs in the Attic. This is I really love this album. They go back to the first. He goes back to his first 4 albums, and does over the course of his career earlier does live versions. Kind of brings new life to a lot of these songs. The only song that isn't on here that would have been from that era, which he really didn't need to redo, was Piano Man. But he does do some stuff from Piano Man on this, as well as from Turnstiles, Street Life Serenade, and Cold Spring Harbor. It's a great record from him. Here we go with the Cold Spring Harbor. However, this is the Columbia. I'll pull this up so you can see the Colombian issue. You know, it's a great album. It's the first time I heard the album. You know, I was aware that there was another mix of it with the wrong speed and everything else, but you know, this was the first version I heard. But I am fonder of the other original mix of it. But still, this is the one you're going to get if you're going to get Cold Spring Harbor. So, next thing we got, a different kind of changing again a little bit musically. Nylon Curtain. A good album. It took me a little bit longer to warm up to this one. Yeah, I don't know why I pulled this copy too. Some pretty serious ring wear. Again, the vinyl's in good shape. I got 2 or 3 copies of this too, but I think I do. But a good record. Pressure, Allentown. The closest thing he's ever done to a Christmas song on here as well. It's not a great album overall. Probably his biggest commercial success came in '84 with this record, and it's not the one. I don't listen to this one as much. He decided to get into a '50s kind of feel, early '60s feel, with an innocent man. It's a great record. It really is a fantastic record. He got like 4 or 5 hit singles off this record. It did really, really well commercially, and you know, just a standard in his collection. Why not? Next thing you might as well do is issue a Greatest Hits record, Greatest Hits Volume 1, Greatest Hits Volume 2, which I'm unhappy with because it doesn't have the song Honesty. But anyway, the best they could do, added another song, a new song, so that they could make a little more money off of it. But it's a nice collection overall. And we're getting to the point now in '85 where vinyl is starting to get a little bit, I don't want to say more scarce, but people, you know, we'll see where this goes. Some of, you know, it's not going to be pressing too many more of his albums. We're not going to have, okay, The Bridge, 1976. He was working with a different band at this particular point in time. Not a bad album at all. But it's not one that I listen to quite as much. I'm more of a fan of the late '70s stuff of his. The next record, we go to 1987, and this is the live album he did in Russia. As a matter of fact, it was a big radio special. They made a big whoop-de-doo about it. A great record. One thing I remember about this is when he went to Russia, they said, "Do whatever you want, but you better not play Back in the USSR." And he did a great version of Back in the USSR on this, just because it's the way Billy Joel is. And from my memory, this was it for vinyl here in America. Stormfront, which came out in '89, was issued on vinyl in Europe and a few other places. And River of Dreams, I have seen on vinyl, like in Japan, I believe. But as far as America is concerned, I believe that that is the end of the Billy Joel saga on vinyl. Hopefully you enjoyed this video of Billy Joel's vinyl work anyway. And I guess I'll leave you with the way I usually do. Until next time, everybody, peace and love.